Welcome to part 4 of Self-Inflicted Wounds, How to Heal When We Hurt Ourselves. I'm the serial intellectual, author of 10 books, creator of 9 original personal development tools, and I have over 2 decades of experience of helping people walk through healing from self-inflicted wounds. In the first 3 parts, we talked about what self-inflicted wounds are, where they come from, and how they affect us. And now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the actual healing process, what you can do to begin to heal from self-inflicted wounds. Now, this healing process has 7 parts to it, and all 7 parts are equally important. You can't do one without the other, and we're going to walk through each and every one. We're going to do one part of a video for each one of these 7 pieces, and they're really going to be helpful. They've helped hundreds of thousands of people, and they've helped me. These are the same things I've used when I've done something that has brought a self-inflicted wound upon myself, all right? Okay, so now I want to emphasize very clearly that if you want to heal in a holistic way, you need to do all 7. Because if you do 2 or 3, what's going to happen is you're going to get yourself back to a level of functionality, but you're still going to be limping as we speak. And you want to be completely whole again, right? Ready to go, as it were, back on the field and be at 100%, all right? All right, so let's get into the first way or step towards healing in this journey. And it is acknowledging the self-inflicted wound. Now, when I say that, everybody goes, oh, I know what that means, and you want to just fast forward. You don't know what it means. I guarantee you, you don't know what it means. You have never heard what I'm going to tell you, because this is where we usually just swipe or keep going. Let me explain to you what I mean by this. What I mean by this is that you've got to put yourself in a position to where you're ready to fully acknowledge the whole thing. So I want to read some words to you, some synonyms of the word acknowledge. And as you hear these words, I want you to just clear your mind and let them fill your mind as to what this fully means, all right? What does it mean to acknowledge the self-inflicted wound? It means to admit, confess, concede, agree, recognize, announce, grant, disclose, allow, reveal, accept, own up to, confirm, tell, affirm, say, declare, and fess up. And you know, sometimes the best way to know what we're talking about is to look at the opposite of it. So what's the opposite or an antonym of acknowledge? Denial, disclaim, contradict, reject, negative, disallow, negate, dispute, refute, right? These are some of the things that we do when we don't acknowledge. So when we think about the word acknowledge, I want you really to capture this, because it's so fundamental to your healing process. So there was a time where I had to take my mom to the doctor because she was having blood in her urine. And we went to the urologist, and they ended up ordering a CAT scan, and we came back, and the doctor said, unfortunately, we found a mass in your bladder, and we need to do a biopsy to confirm, but it may be bladder cancer. And my mother, she was born in 1931, she was like, well, it's probably just all the mints I'm eating and the McDonald's and some of the food I'm eating. It's probably nothing. So, of course, she was scared to death. And she's like, it can't be. So she went into immediate denial. And the doctor just patiently listened to her and just said, you know, well, it could be, but we have to do this. And finally, after about 20 minutes, the doctor just looked at her and said, listen, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm pretty sure that this isn't because you've been eating mints. I'm pretty sure there's something growing in there. And if we don't deal with it, it's going to hurt you really bad and potentially kill you. Like, over the denial, full acknowledgement, right? This is what it means. It means that you allow yourself to go there. You allow yourself to be there. You allow yourself to sit there. You allow yourself to feel there. You allow yourself to think there. You're just there, right? Now, it's uncomfortable, right? And this is why we don't acknowledge. And then when we do, we just go, a little, like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. And then people tell you, oh, you don't want to harp on those things because you just, yeah, that's in the past and forgive and forget and covered in the blood. And we have all these bypasses that we use, but there's a great benefit in sitting there, not forever, but for the sole purpose of really seeing it. You know what happens when you go into the doctor and let's say you're finding it hard to walk? They don't just go, yeah, you've got some pain. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Just stay off it for a week. Take some Advil and drink some Pepsi and you'll be good. You say, doctor is crazy. What do you want? You want an x-ray. Why do you want an x-ray? Why do you want to see it all? Well, because I want to know if I have a fracture. And then what if that doesn't work? Well, I want a CAT scan. Why do you want a CAT scan? Because you want to see if there's a tear. You want the CAT scan and the MRI because you want to know. You want to acknowledge. You want to see, is this just like inflammation or is there a tear in there? Is there arthritis? I need to know. Why do you need to know? Because you want to know how to best treat it. That's what we're talking about. And you don't get there by swiping left all the time. You don't get there by, forgive and forget. Let's just go. Let's go. Sometimes you just have to sit and watch and say, well, hold on a second. What actually happened and what's the scope of this? It's important to do this, not to turn away. Now, it's hard to do, and I'm going to tell you why it's hard to do. Because you did it. I did it. We did it. See, it's so much easier when someone else does it to us, right? When we get hurt from someone, oh, I can sit in that. I can acknowledge that. I can look at the whole thing, disclose, reveal, all those synonyms. I'm good. But when I do it to myself, I don't like doing that. Why? Because of the way it makes you feel and the way it makes you think. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. So there are emotions associated with you acknowledging a self-inflicted wound. What are they? Shame. Like, what's wrong with me? Why would I do something like that? Fear. Well, what's going to happen now? Am I going to do it again? Like, I don't trust myself. And what's going to happen when people find out? They're going to judge me. I'm going to lose. I'm going to be limited. I might lose my job. I might lose my marriage. I might lose my kids. I might lose this. I might lose that. And then guilt. Oh my gosh, how could I ever have done something like that? Therefore, we don't actually want to acknowledge because there's those emotions and others. And then there's thoughts associated with acknowledging, right? Like, man, you're really a terrible person. How could you do that? What were you thinking? And do you think, you're never going to recover from this? And this is it. It's over. You've ruined your life. You got to live with this forever. Like, well, look what you've done. And because those emotions or thoughts are there, we don't want to acknowledge. We just want to, I did it. We don't really want to deal with it. And there's this great fear of what might happen if we acknowledge it. That judgment, what are the consequences coming? But listen, you cannot begin your journey towards healing from a self-inflicted wound until you're ready to fully acknowledge that you have a self-inflicted wound that came from you and that it hurt you until you can see it as an MRI, CAT scan, and an X-ray and see it as its whole. That's the beginning of your healing process. Grace and peace.